Okay, so part two, let's check out what Bernstein Weizen is from Stortebeker Brewery. Hey, welcome back to Views on Brews. I'm Brendan and this is Bernstein Weizen from Stortebeker Brewery. Have a look at that. This is another 500ml bottle that Jürgen Tusk has sent me. Jürgen is a member of my my beer club, Midlands Beer Club in the Midlands of Ireland, and he has sent me this and a few other beers to try out and just get my thoughts on these beers. So this is a 5.3% beer. Now, for the first beer I did a Pilsner, and for this beer I thought what would be really good is I won't look up absolutely anything about the beer. So this is the first time I've really even looked at the bottle, and I just want to try to see what I can work out about this beer, and then halfway through I'm going to pause the video and go and have a little dig around about this beer and then come back. So I'm risking making a fool out of myself now, but it should be interesting to see what I can work out just from the bottle itself. So I know from my German beer unboxing videos that I've done so far, I know Weizen is a wheat. I'm assuming that means this is a wheat beer. And I'm assuming that Weizens are all brewed with ale yeast, Hefeweizen yeast. So I'm thinking this will be a cloudy Hefeweizen. I could be wrong. And it should have sort of some phenolic flavors, either cloves or banana or some sort of spiciness. I've got all kinds of flies around today. But I'm not really certain that that's right. And as I found out, you know, there are lots of little nuances about German beers that I don't quite know all about just yet. I'm going to see what I can find out on the back. I don't know what Bernstein means. I would guess that's somebody's name. I've no idea what that means. Is ein natural blasphemous Hefeweizen? Okay, that's good. So it is a Hefeweizen. It's supposed to be drunk at 10 degrees Celsius, and it's 5.3% in alcohol. It has caramel, wheat, and Pilsner malts, as far as I can tell, in the beer. And can I see what hops it has in it? I really struggle to read what's on the back of this beer, but I will look it up in a minute. This also says it has won 3 golds. I'm not quite sure where, but if you've won 3 golds medals for your beer, it can't be a bad beer. Stortebeker's got the pirate boat on the front there. Let's get it open and see what it's like. I'm assuming this is a bottle condition beer because it's a Hefeweizen. A bit of a hiss coming off there, nice little bit of smoke on the top. Just the CO2 escaping into the atmosphere. I've given my glass a rinse from the Pilsner. Let's see what colour beer. Now, if there's caramel malts in this is going to be quite a malty beer. Wheat, caramel, and Pilsner. Pilsner will keep it light. Caramel will give it depth of flavour, and wheat will give it mouthfeel and head retention and foam and stability. The beer itself is absolutely going crazy right now. I apologise for that, but it was going to go over the top. Okay. It has gone over the top. Okay, all right. It's a classic Hefeweizen. I can taste it already, but before I get to the taste, Prost, cheers, Slancha, and hopefully you're enjoying a beer at the same time as I'm reviewing one here. Cracking looking beer here. There's a little bit of like a slight tinge of orange to this beer, but it is got that Pilsner colour to it, sort of straw. It's a deep gold colour with a tiny bit of orangey amber sort of hue to it. The foam on top is absolutely incredible. It's shaving foam. The denseness and the compact denseness of the bubbles on top are just so thick that they will just sit there forever, and they're constantly being replenished by the carbonation that is absolutely flying up the sides of this glass. So a really nice beer, huge head on it, great carbonation. I'm sure this beer, before I've drunk it, is going to sort of effervesce on the tongue because of the amount of carbonation. These types of beers have the bottle conditions, so they're already making a lot of carbon dioxide, but they're also carbonated at slightly higher levels, and probably so that it can break through the maltiness of the beer and still make it enjoyable without making it too heavy and cumbersome of a beer. Anyway, let's try this one. Great looking colour. It's got that classic Hefeweizen yeast profile to it. Huge amounts of banana, I want to say. A slight kind of like oranginess to it. And what else now? A tiny bit peppery, more flowery, floral, fruity, kind of like a fruity sort of flavour to this beer, but it's all esters from the yeast. So the beer itself is this is just a classic example of a Hefeweizen. This is it's got huge amounts of drinkability to the beer. It's not overwhelming. There's kind of like it's really spritzy on the tongue. The carbonation is really sort of helping to sort of make this beer sing on the palate without it being too heavy. It's almost like it's effervescing, like some sort of effervescent Alka-Seltzer on the tongue. So it's really, really nice. What's a good way of explaining that? It's sort of a spritzy, sort of light, bubbly. It's sort of popping in my face as I go to take a drink of it. Beautiful drinkability to it. Beautiful colour to it. Lots of banana. Slightly a bit of clove going on there as well, but the banana is up front and the clove sort of comes in the background and stays on longer than the banana in the aftertaste. Mouthfeel aroma is, excuse me, the aroma is bananas. The aroma is about the yeast, but it's slightly muted. I have a feeling because the head is so thick as well, but there is a tinge of banana. Slight bit spicy, but not very much. Just a really, really nice example, I hope, when I go to look this up, of a Hefeweizen. And it is bottle conditioned. There isn't too much yeast sediment at the bottom, but I'll try and pour in a little bit just to give us a bit of extra yeast sort of content for the ester profile. A little bit floral as well. I don't know what hops are in this. I couldn't really work it out. I will now. I tell you what I'll do now. I will pause the video and I will come back in a minute after I've done a tiny quick look up on the phone, Google this beer up and see what it's all about. Okay, so I've just had like a 5-minute look at what this beer is actually about, taken a couple of on the fly sort of notes about it. So obviously, you know, it is a Hefeweizen. Hefe just means yeast in German. Weizen is wheat. And Bernstein, which I did not know, it means amber. So it's an amber Weizen, and it's probably amber because of the addition of caramel malts. And yeah, from the caramel malt. So that's why it's got that sort of ambery, orangey sort of color to it. The aromas are supposed to be ripe bananas, red fruits, which I didn't get. I can see how you might present that as red fruits or ripe red fruits, red berries. I'm guessing they're talking about. The way I explain it is a bright fruitiness, and I don't really get the berries sort of idea from it, but I do get a really bright fruitiness that comes through. And it does say very much brisk bubbles. It also says something that I now get that I didn't really pick up on before. It says cloves and nutmeg. Now, I can pick out the cloves in this, but the nutmeg in this beer, it really is there. I just didn't get it. It's very, very obviously right there with cloves. And the thing about cloves or nutmeg is that kind of woodiness to them, earthy, woody, sort of very organic sort of, you know, meatiness to them. And I just perceive it as cloves, but when I hear nutmeg, it absolutely resonates as nutmeg coming from this beer. So I really like that, because that's something that I haven't had in Hefeweizen before, or I haven't really been in tune with that aroma profile. So I'm getting used to using this glass now as well. It's crazy. I keep wanting to put it down at a different angle, but it's so heavy, it just sits on this big foot that it's on it. Anyway, what else have I written here? This has pearl hops in it as well, which are supposed to give you that sort of minty, piney, spicy aroma. I don't get much of the hop at all. I just get the yeast. So maybe the hops profile, not very bitter, this beer. There's a level of muted bitterness that doesn't even get in the way of the beer at all. What else did I take down about this beer? What I perceived about this beer was a real effervescence. Actually, Stortebeker brewery has sort of labelled that as sparkling. And I can see what they're saying. It's kind of like, almost like an unusual effervescent, sort of fizzy, sparkling, spritzy kind of nature to the beer, and it does die off. I'm noticing now that it's died off a little bit, but when I first opened that beer, it was absolutely ready to go. But that's just what Hefeweizen beers are like. So what do I think about this beer overall? Beautiful flavors, beautiful aromas, masses and masses of drinkability to it. Not heavy at all because there's great carbonation in it. Beautiful head on the top of the beer. I like that nutmeg thing now that I've been made aware of it. I perceive it as lots of banana, small bit of clove, but in actual fact, it's clovey. It's on the borderline of clove and nutmeg. So fantastic beer. Also, this beer doesn't cost much to buy. I'm fascinated by the fact that you know, a Hefeweizen from Germany costs, you know, in and around like €1 to buy. which is incredible, because if I bought a Hefeweizen in Ireland, now we're an island in Ireland, so we have to, you know, if we export beer or if we import beer, we have to pay more for it. But this beer is just so cheap. I'm interested to know why that they can produce beers in this range from this brewery at such an incredible price. Their online store says this, I can't remember exactly, but it's in and around the €1 mark. The Pilsner before was 90 cents. So great beers, and the price might put you off because it's so cheap. But in actual fact, fantastic beer altogether, and I'd happily pay for that. So 2 great beers so far from this brewery. I think I have another one, but a really special one, so I'm going to leave that for another day from this brewery. Anyway, thank you, Jürgen, for sending this one along to me. Top beer, and I think it's on to the next one. That's my view on this brew. Great beer. Cheers, Prost, Slàinte, and bye.